Because Pluto is such an odd place, scientists are baffled. Now, the most bizarre items discovered on its ice surface reveal a very different picture. This region was long believed to be dead, lonely, and dark. However, our perception of Pluto is evolving as a result of the first exploration of this ice world by NASA's New Horizons probe. Unbelievably, this planet is now even being considered as a potential home for life. A world full of shocks and geological wonders has been discovered by recent studies of the dwarf planet Pluto. In addition to altering scientists' perceptions of the planet, NASA's New Horizons mission's stunning photos and the most recent analysis are allowing both space aficionados and regular people to view this world for the first time. We didn't have a photograph of Pluto or its true appearance before to New Horizons. The Hubble Space Telescope only provided us with a hazy image of Pluto. Simply put, the telescope was not made to take pictures of tiny objects in total darkness as they orbited the Sun. We would still be unaware of Pluto's heart, frozen glaciers, nitrogen-based snow, and a lake if NASA hadn't chosen to send its own mission to this far-off world. The world is geologically active, as evidenced by all the recent discoveries. A striking picture of a planet that might be the messenger of an entire system of unappreciated planets in the furthest limits of our solar system is replacing the image of lifeless Pluto. Our knowledge of this globe and the Kuiper Belt's small planets is still in its infancy. Dynamic dune landscapes, liquid nitrogen-filled lakes, and the incredible activity of cryovolcanoes could all provide us with new insights into the possibility of life even beyond the solar system's edge. Of them all, Pluto was the smallest. Clyde Tombaugh, a U.S. astronomer, had the celebration of a lifetime in 1930. He and his team finally found the ninth planet after decades of hunting. The planet, which needed to circle beyond Uranus and Neptune, was first merely a mathematical concept before becoming a reality. Then the shock hit. Pluto was reclassified to a dwarf planet in 2006 when scientists determined it was no longer a true planet. The discovery of numerous additional tiny planets circling much farther away from the Sun was one of the causes of this. Astronomers believed that Pluto and these numerous planets in a dark and frigid environment were not very intriguing, but they were mistaken. Unimaginable secrets might be concealed by these dwarf planets. Luckily, by this point, NASA had already launched the New Horizons mission. The probe began its nearly 10-year journey deep into the solar system in the same year that Pluto was no longer considered a planet. The time had arrived in 2015. Together with the scientists, we witnessed Pluto's true appearance for the first time. It is lovely, diverse, and vibrant. At first glance, experts realized Pluto couldn't be a lifeless world. There are different landscapes, snow, and evidence of ice volcanoes. The mission marked a significant milestone in the exploration of the minor planet Pluto by delivering the first close-up photos of its surface. A remarkably youthful surface was exposed by the intricate and varied environment, suggesting that geological activity is still occurring now. The secrets surrounding this underrated planet are becoming increasingly clear as astronomers examine the richness of the New Horizons data. Interest in more Kuiper Belt exploration has increased as a result of the expedition. Like Pluto, we might have underestimated at least 4 other dwarf planets there. Here, we might potentially uncover more important details on the origins of our solar system. On Pluto, nitrogen is snowing. Can you picture yourself standing on a snow-covered planet billions of kilometers from Earth? Even if the concept is strange, it is somehow accurate. Pluto's snow-capped mountains display fascinating fluid cycles. It is still unclear how much water, as we know it from Earth, plays a role in these cycles. However, it seems certain that nitrogen, not water, is a primary factor on Pluto. Methane, nitrogen, and carbon monoxide are among the frozen substances that make up the majority of Pluto's snow. These materials are comparable to water on Earth. At the extremely low temperatures on Pluto, which are roughly 30 degrees Celsius. Pluto's thin atmosphere of carbon monoxide, methane, and nitrogen is probably the primary cause of this snow. It's amazing that Pluto can convert these materials into gases with the little energy it receives from the sun's scarce and far-traveling rays. After rising into the sky, carbon monoxide, nitrogen, and methane eventually return to the surface as snow. As a result, it is quite comparable to what occurs on Earth, with the exception that the outer solar system's conditions are more severe and dissimilar. There is still uncertainty about the precise nature of the snowfall and whether dense snowflakes fall on Pluto as well. Pluto's extremely thin atmosphere and low gravity likely result in a slightly unusual snowfall process. From Pluto's very black sky, the snow may descend as tiny particles or as a sort of icy haze. It's interesting to note that the New Horizons probe's measurements have revealed that water is present in the snow on Pluto's mountains. Water freezes, as hard as stone on Pluto due to its extraordinarily low temperatures. The topmost snow crowns on these mountains are most likely composed of frozen methane that is deposited on the tops, and the entire mountain may therefore be composed of frozen water. Though their composition and creation are entirely different, Pluto's strange ice mountains, which may grow up to 3.5 km in height, resemble the glacial ranges on Earth in look. This realm reveals a world that is entirely different from ours, but also somewhat comparable. On Titan, Saturn's moon, the Huygens spacecraft found methane lakes, rivers, and streams that resembled Earth's natural environment. There, scientists have already found methane rivers and lakes on the surface. Pluto, similarly, seems to be a planet that is dominated by methane. One of the most unexpected findings of the New Horizons mission was the sighting of an enigmatic lake. This lake is roughly 32 km wide and situated in a mountainous area to the west of Pluto's massive heart-shaped structure. The fact that such a lake exists at surface temperatures of around 230 degrees Celsius is astounding and begs numerous further concerns, including those concerning its genesis and past. Scientists believe that a liquid once filled this lake, which would be a very unusual occurrence on Pluto. Scientists believe that only liquid nitrogen could have created this landscape because of the atmospheric composition and current conditions. Nitrogen can also exist in liquid form on Pluto under specific temperature and pressure circumstances. Nitrogen may occasionally liquefy and form a liquid lake, especially when the dwarf planet gets closer to the Sun on its elliptical orbit and thus receives a little more heat. This indicates that Pluto has seasons, along with the weather and geological processes that go along with them. Here in the Pluto spring, the nitrogen melts instead of the water. There is even proof that the liquid nitrogen creates canyons and riverbeds in addition to lakes. The world is already depicted as dynamic and geologically active by all of this. The underappreciated Pluto is turning out to be a vibrant little planet with a lot of unsolved mysteries. Is Pluto's interior hot? Pluto might be warm or even scorching on the inside, but it sounds fantastic. In actuality, this bizarre discovery was made quite by chance. Great images of the surface's landscape-forming convection cells were sent by New Horizons. Soon after, NASA aimed one of its finest telescopes at Pluto once more, and, to their amazement, the cell's terrain had drastically changed. This indicates that the stuff being pushed in from below is just that. However, what internal mechanisms might lead to this honeycomb and cell structure shifting like sand dunes? Only when a substance or liquid is moved by temperature changes do convection cells form. In this instance, the existence of convection cells suggests that Pluto's heart has a warmer inside than its exterior. The layer of frozen nitrogen on top may slowly circulate as a result of this heat source. The process is comparable to the convection that happens in gases or liquids when they are heated unevenly, like in a planet's atmosphere or a boiling liquid. It's interesting to note that icebergs or bigger blocks of ice seem to gather around these convection cells, indicating that the underlying forces are pushing them to the cell's edge. One important clue that Pluto is significantly more geologically active than previously believed is the discovery of convection cells on the dwarf planet. Pluto has now presented us with yet another intriguing riddle, and the information gathered by the New Horizons mission can only be the first step. Massive dunes stray over the landscape. The surface of Pluto, a dwarf, is remarkably diverse. Another aspect of Pluto that shocks and totally contradicts preconceived notions about it is the New Horizons mission's discovery of dune regions. The dunes, which stretch along Tombaugh Regio's western edge, provide more intriguing information on Pluto's geology and atmosphere. According to astrogeologists, the dunes are the product of wind drifts, just like those on Earth. But Pluto's dunes have to be made of something entirely different. This occurrence indicates that for a planet with such a small atmosphere, Pluto must have some kind of atmospheric dynamics. This is yet another marvel of science. However, sublimating nitrogen, ice may have contributed to the creation of these dunes in addition to wind. According to model projections, this process can also result in methane ice particles the size of sand being raised above the surface and subsequently carried away by the wind. The size and shape of Pluto's dunes are astounding once they are in the air. Some of these dunes stretch over many kilometers and are as big as mountains. Since particles travel more readily and over longer distances when there is less gravitational attraction, Pluto's lower gravity is most likely the cause of its size. Pluto has ice volcanoes as well. The New Horizons mission's scientists were, once again, in a state of shock upon seeing cryovolcanoes. Ice volcanoes, also known as cryovolcanoes, are unusual geological formations where icy substances like water, methane, or ammonia are released in place of molten rock. There are indications of recent cryovolcanic activity in a number of Plutonian locations. Right Mons, a massive mountain in the dwarf planet's southern region that rises roughly 4 kilometers above the surrounding terrain, is one of the most noticeable. The wide top surface of Right Mons is characteristic of volcanic craters. The scientists concluded from this structure that Right Mons is most likely an ice volcano, making it the biggest ice volcano in the outer solar system. Pluto's cryovolcanoes indicate that the planet must have a heated interior. Radioactive element decay processes that were previously unknown may be occurring inside the dwarf planet. Extreme tidal forces brought on by Pluto's peculiar connection with its moon, Charon, may potentially be the source of the heat. Pluto's interior ice may melt due to this heat and be forced to the surface, where it may erupt as lava of ice and other volatiles. Because the finest videos are still to come, subscribe now.